intro. Well, hello everybody and welcome to our natural living workshop with Lily Kunning, and she is going to be doing natural skincare today. We are very excited that she's here, and I need to do a spotlight for her so I can then also do a screen share. And does everybody, oh, there we go. So hopefully everybody will see the her presentation. And Lily, I am going to mute myself. And
okay, I think you muted yourself. Hello, everybody. I'm Lily Kunning. I'm an herbalist. I have a private practice, and I also formulate for Haven Herbs, who sponsors this Natural Living series for me to teach. Today, we're going to be talking about natural skincare and a little bit of DIY as well. And I wanted to start this this class with what is the issue with just using stuff you buy at the corner drugstore or the department store, and let folks know the status of sort of skincare products in the United States. As you know, the skin is the largest organ in the body, and scientists used to believe back in the 50s that it was a total barrier, that it just kept everything out, and you didn't have to worry about what was put on your skin the way that you had to worry about what you breathed in or ingested. But we know that that's not true. Now, this card talks about 60% of any product being absorbed, and that varies. Actually, that's a pretty conservative estimate. Most scientists I've talked to today say it's about 75 to 90%, depending on the molecular weight of the chemicals that are in the formula. And we're going to talk about molecular weight. Don't be scared. It's pretty simple to understand. But in the United States, there are very few regulations as to what ingredients go into a product. There are a lot of loopholes in terms of keeping some things secret in formulas that you wouldn't want to be kept secret. There are protections for companies to have proprietary formulas, and so they don't have to disclose certain things. But basically it's caveat emptor, buyer beware. And I teach these classes to kind of give folks information so that they are able to do research, able to find out about what is in their body care and make better choices if they choose to. So we're going to talk about some ingredients that you were going to want to avoid, how you do research on products in your home, and we're going to talk about some natural alternatives that you can turn to instead that not only will be just as or more effective, but also probably more cost effective than if you're buying some pretty expensive formulas out there. One thing that recently came up for me is, so I just started watching regular TV with commercials. I used to just stream everything, but now we have like a live TV streaming service. And so I get to watch all these commercials and see what kind of commercials people are seeing. And in addition to way too many pharmaceutical commercials, I see a ton of like skincare products being advertised with hyaluronic acid and some other things that just freak me out. So kind of want to talk about those today too. But as the card says, the average American woman has 515 chemicals in their body care every day. And chemicals is a loaded word for some people. Pretty much everything is a chemical, but we're talking, some that have never been tested or tested in the long term or tested with other chemicals, how they interact. And it's a problem. It's definitely a problem. So let's go on to the next card. Yes. Oh, wait, there it is. All right. So topical application is just as important as what you put into your body, whether you're breathing it or ingesting it. The skin is not a total barrier, and we're going to talk about molecular weight and why that matters. But 90% of American body care products, and there's tens of thousands of them, have ingredients that the US FDA has never reviewed, not at all. And any public accountable institution, like it's kind of a free-for-all, a corporate free-for-all. And most people do not know that. Most people assume that if it's on the market, it's been tested for safety, that, maybe there's animal testing, maybe there's human testing, but most people assume that there's been testing. It's sadly untrue for a vast majority of the products out there. And as I say, your skin, your lipid layer, and your bloodstream absorb chemicals depending on their molecular weight. So let's talk about what that means. We can go on to the next slide. So here's a grid. Let's pretend it's a tennis racket, okay? Molecular weights are just how big or small a particle is in a chemical. So a hydrogen atom is rated as 1, and you can see, 1 is very tiny, and hydrogen passes through our skin all the time. Now, if a molecular weight of any given chemical is 3,000 or less, it's going to enter the skin. It's not a barrier. And if it's 750 or less, it's going to enter individual skin cells. And if it's 300 or less, it's going to directly enter the bloodstream. Now, this is why, and if folks have done my essential oil safety class, essential oils, this is how they work. So we use carriers to apply them topically, either oils or alcohols, to break up the chemicals in the essential oils, and we call that a carrier. And when we apply, let's say, a carrier oil to our skin, either on a roll-on or just rubbing it on, that has essential oils in it, the lipids will go into the skin, and they help as a delivery system for the essential oils. The essential oils have a molecular weight so small they enter the bloodstream, and that's how essential oils work. We either inhale them and they go into the bloodstream through gas exchange in the lungs, or we apply them topically and they enter the bloodstream directly through contact with the skin. Excuse me. Are there any questions so far? I know I'm going kind of fast, and this is, a scientific explanation, kind of lower, made accessible for lay people. But I wanted to make sure that there were no questions so far. Where are we? Oh no, I see a cursor. Maybe? No? Okay. I'll just assume that's a no, since I haven't heard from Darlene. So this molecular weight stuff is a recent discovery. Like I said, in the 50s, they used to think that the skin was a total barrier. And there has been research on skin since then. And this knowledge is used now. You can go on to the next slide, Darlene. This knowledge is used now to help with drug delivery. Transdermal patches are just as effective as taking orally your medicines, because also if you take medicines internally, it's going to encounter your stomach acid, and it's going to be broken down, and you don't get actually the full dosage, and they kind of take that into account when they're making standard dosage guidelines for internal drugs. Well, yeah, they take it into account for transdermal patches. And so we've seen over-the-counter kind of patches like nicotine patches, but also prescription ones for like hormone replacement therapy or pain relief patches. I've used some natural pain relief patches like capsaicin from hot peppers or arnica when I've had like sore muscles or injuries or strains, and I've put those on, and the pain relief gets delivered right to the traumatized area. So that's pretty nice. I really like those that you put on the back. I don't know if anyone's tried them, but they're wonderful. I don't have the best back. So, but it also means that, conversely, it can be used for good, like these patches, but it also can be used, that knowledge should be used to select what you put on your skin and on your scalp and in your hair very carefully, because you're absorbing those chemicals, whether you know it or not. I tend to focus on the ones that are hardly pronounceable first. And we've all seen them, right? If you lift up your shampoo bottle, chances are you're going to be like, what is that? And so knowing what those are is the first step in deciding, do I want to have those in or on my body? Next slide. So that's what we call being precautious. The precautionary principle is a strategy for approaching harm reduction. So when we don't have enough information, and we don't have enough information on a lot of these ingredients, how they interact inside a human body, how they interact inside a human body in the long term, how they interact with other chemicals that are unresearched inside the human body. All of these things are great unknowns. And so being conservative is a better approach, particularly for people that are surviving cancer or have autoimmune disease, both of which of those are on the rise throughout the United States. And I would argue that this is one of the reasons. There are all kinds of endocrine disrupting and carcinogenic chemicals in our soil, in our water, in our air, and in the products that we use on our bodies and in our homes. And one of the things that I do with my clients, because I do wellness coaching and herbal consultations, is if they have a chronic illness that they are recovering from or going through, we do a whole detoxification process of their home. We look at their cleaning supplies, we look at the kind of cookware that they use, their appliances, we look at their body care, we look at all kinds of things in order to reduce the toxic load that people are exposed to. Because the air quality inside the typical American home is worse than outside, because we just have all of these things off-gassing that we can't smell. New furniture gets treated with stain chemicals, stain-resistant chemicals. That's carcinogenic. There are so many endocrine disrupting chemicals in our body care and in our cleaning supplies. People use things like Roundup to spray weeds, which, by the way, those weeds are really useful. You shouldn't be spraying them. You should probably be eating them. All kinds of stuff. So taking a precautionary approach to what you allow to have access to your person is one of the ways to stay well. And here we go with cancer and autoimmune disease on the card. It's pretty astounding. I talk to other herbalists around the country, and we've all seen a huge rise in who's just coming to see us. But if you look at the statistics and you look at charts of, diagnoses that we've recorded so far, they're both on the rise, and it's scary. And so, my job as sort of a holistic practitioner is to really do not just treatments and helping individual people, but also this, getting the word out as much as possible about ways people can stay well. So let's talk about some nasty things that you want to avoid. Next slide. Okay, there we go. Fragrance. Now, common sense would say this is just stuff that smells good, but that is not really the case. if you have a product that just says fragrance, that is a loophole for companies to use ingredients that maybe they don't want to disclose to you or the public in general, because fragrance is considered proprietary in this country, and companies do not have to disclose the ingredients that are in their fragrance. And this has led to people using parabens, which are carcinogens and endocrine disruptors, and they're products that help keep them from going bad. Like they use them to keep lotions. Let's just talk about lotion right now. You buy this big bottle of lotion at the drugstore, right? Chances are it contains some sort of paraben. And if it says paraben free, that doesn't necessarily mean it's paraben free if it has fragrance on it. And usually it's towards the back of the ingredient list. But again, they don't have to disclose what is in it or how much. So parabens tend to start with the prefix methyl, ethyl, propyl, or butyl. Or it's somewhere in that long, usually parabens are very long words. So if you see those little snippets inside a larger word, you've got parabens in your formula and you want to get rid of that as quickly as possible. Companies put parabens in because it extends the shelf life of a product. So if you think about this big bottle of lotion, which takes you forever to get through, right? Before you got it, it was in a warehouse of the store that you got it from. And before that, it was in the warehouse of the manufacturer. We don't know how long it's been sitting around before you buy it. It could be years. However, lotion is, as someone who makes lotion, it is an emulsification between oils and liquids, other liquids. Because if you think about it, when you make your own little vinaigrette for your salad, oils and liquids don't want to mix. They don't like each other. They separate all the time. And so you need to use an emulsifier to get them to stay together. So lotions are an emulsified solution. And so there's different oils in there, or butters or fats, and then they try and emulsify them with some kind of liquid. Water, distilled water is the most common in commercial formulas. And to get those to stay together, they're using all kinds of emulsifying compounds, not all of which are toxic, but some of them are. But again, they want to keep them emulsified, which over time a natural product will separate. That's just the nature of a natural product. Without these chemicals to keep them in their emulsified state and to keep them from molding, they will. So most people use the parabens to keep a product from molding. Because anything that has liquid, any moisture in it, is going to mold. Within a month or two, they're going to do that. So how do they get a huge bottle that has been around for years not to mold? That's their corporate problem that they're trying to solve with these parabens. So other words for parabens are DEA, MEA, TEA. Those particular abbreviations are parabens. We also want to avoid any of the glycols. Those are not good for you. Sodium lauryl sulfate, sodium laureth sulfate, SLS or SLES. Those particular chemicals are caustic. It's used in the vast majority of American toothpaste and shampoos because what it does is it's a surfactant, and so it creates lather. The lather makes people think that they're getting cleaner, but most people don't realize you don't need lather in your shampoo or your toothpaste to get yourself clean. In fact, it kind of gets in the way. But surfactants kind of add a little bit of friction to the process, but you can use other things for friction. But it's caustic. And when factories use SLS to like degrease engines and things like that, the material safety data sheets in warehouses say you must wear gloves, you must wear eye goggles. And if it gets on your skin or in your eyes, there's like a protocol to keep you safe. And yet these are ingredients in most shampoo and toothpaste and dish soap and all kinds of stuff. So that's something that I would avoid. Yeah, so I went through a few of them, but 90% of American body care contains at least one of these. So don't be alarmed, but you're going to be, if you want to avoid these things, you're going to be eliminating a lot of products, and you're going to be like, what do I use? Well, that's what we're going to talk about next, because you know, it limits you in what you might want to use in terms of brands, or you can make your own, and we're going to talk about that. Now, for nationwide brands that are in, you know, chain stores and things, I would definitely go to ewg.org and research. They have databases of body care, of cleaners, of all kinds of things, and you can look up that product and it will give it a grade A through F, just like it was in school. And it'll tell you ingredient by ingredient what their concern is. So EWG is an independent nonprofit organization that does all this work through member donations. It doesn't have a corporate agenda. It's not trying to sell you anything. It's trying to educate you. So it's a really great resource in terms of looking for products that actually have a good grade, an A grade, a green light kind of grade. And they also have other really great resources to help eliminate toxins. They're also the people that every year they publish the Dirty Dozen of produce, so that you know those 12 have the highest pesticide load from the previous year, so you can avoid those. And they also publish the Clean 15, where if you can't get organic, it's okay because the pesticide load is so low in those types of fruits and vegetables. So they're just a really great resource. I would totally recommend going there and checking them out. I don't get paid by them, but I do use them quite often and recommend them to my clients and students, because they can tell you a lot. And I don't necessarily know about individual brands. I would do the same thing. I would go on to EWG and look, you know, as someone who makes all their own body care for Haven and then myself, I don't know about individual brands. I know about a couple, you know, that used to be green and clean and then were bought by large corporate conglomerates like Clorox and Procter and Gamble, and now they're not anymore. But they don't tell people that because they want you to still think it's green. But I don't know about all brands for sure. You know, local brands are also another alternative. So there's the nationwide brands that you can get in all the chain stores. There's also local artisanal companies like Haven, but also there's a ton of them. If you go to a farmer's market, you're going to find someone who's making soap or making you know, moisturizer or any number of things. And because they're local and they're small batch, they're using, you can ask them, what are all the ingredients? Like, they'll be listed, but if you don't know what an ingredient is, ask them. Most people that I know, and I've done farmers markets for a long time, they don't use the big parabens and stuff like that in their products. They'll make smaller containers so that you use them up before they are bound to mold or go bad. Like when I make lotion, I usually package it in 4-ounce containers, which is smaller than the kind of lotion that you would get at the store. And I use all natural ingredients that are organic and fair trade. So it might be more expensive than what you get in the store. However, you're going to use less because there's not all those weird fillers that companies use when they're making, you know, any product. It's funny, like I've taken my herb students to a drugstore and shown them a bottle, and I'm like, okay, so today we learned how to make lotion. Let's look at this lotion. And we'll look at it, and at least half of the ingredients are completely unnecessary. They just add to the volume of the product and make people feel like they're getting a good deal, or they cheapen the formula so that the profit margin is higher. And when these small artisanal companies are making things, they're not doing that. They make a high quality product that sells locally because they're accountable to their community. You know, these big companies, there's not a lot of accountability. The FDA does not regulate most of their ingredients or their formulas. And B, if something does go wrong, it doesn't become like a nationwide scandal for the most part. But local people are accountable to their communities, and you know, small businesses are far more responsive than big ones to customer service concerns. So thinking about that. So researching nationwide brands, going local, or your third option is to make your own. And that may sound intimidating, but it's really not, actually. Basically, most of the ingredients that are in your kitchen, like raw ingredients, can be used on your body as well as in your body. And we're going to talk about some of the assets you may even have in your kitchen that you're not aware of. So next slide. Woo. I'm going to go through some ingredients because I want to highlight them that are pretty commonly used for people. But then I also want to hear from you all. What kind of product do you want to make? And then I can give you ideas for ingredients that you may want to seek out. And there are a number of places that you can get ingredients. Locally, there are botanicals and clays and things at both Clintonville Natural Foods, Bexley Natural Market, and there's a place called, oh gosh darn it, they're in Grandview. They sell their own essential oils and butters and things in bulk. I'm trying to remember. I'll remember by the end of this call, I'm sure. But they're right on Fifth Avenue there in Grandview. I can't remember their name, but you can buy as much as you need. All right, so Rachel says she wants to buy or make hand lotion, cream rinse, and shampoo. Okay, so let's start with shampoo and cream rinse because there's a couple things that you should know. Number one, to clean your hair, there's a number of things that you can use to strip oils out of the hair if you have oily hair, or to gently cleanse it if you have dry hair and scalp, that aren't shampoo. And I stopped using liquid shampoo, I don't know, many, many years ago, actually. Because most of them are filled with all kinds of, you know, crappy ingredients. And anytime you buy a food or body care product that is packaged in plastic, you are getting plastic residues in that formula. I know that that might be shocking, but it is true. It is a fact. They have done sampling of things that have been stored in plastic, and even with the BPA-free liners, there's BPA. They've done studies that show that there's still BPA in BPA-free plastics. And there are other toxins in plastics that touch food, and especially if it's like it contains fat. A lot of these chemicals are lipid soluble, so of course they're going to leach from the plastic into a fat-based formula. And shampoos are usually fats that have been saponified, like soap. as well as some other ingredients. So for shampoo, you can definitely make your own. You can buy some Castile soap. Castile soap is vegetable oil based soap, as opposed to the old timey soaps that are based with tallow or lard. And Dr. Bronner's is a brand that I totally love and recommend. If you want to buy Castile soap, you can buy it plain, or you can buy it already spiked with some essential oils. My partner uses the peppermint Dr. Bronner's as a body soap and a shampoo the whole time. So you can buy Castile soap that way, and then you can add things to it. Or you can buy shampoo bars, which eliminates the whole plastic. Dr. Bronner's is great, but unless you're buying the bars, you're still getting plastic exposure. I use shampoo bars and I love them. My hair is pretty thick. I have to thin it out all the time so it doesn't bother me that way. And I feel like it does a really great job. I took a shower today. It looks pretty good. So those are some alternatives to straightforward shampoo that you might want to consider. Cream rinse. So the thing to know about cream rinse is that people use it so that they can get a comb through their hair, right? How does it work? Well, cream rinse conditioners work by coating the hair with waxes, which doesn't allow the hairs to breathe. And eventually it attracts dirt and other things from the environment and weighs down the hair, and it's not necessarily good for your hair. So how do we get a comb through our hair, add shine and bounce and things like that, without using a wax, a cream rinse? Well, one of the ways is using a vinegar. Now, you don't use vinegar straight, you dilute it a bit, but vinegar, vinegar, so your hair is made up of overlapping scales, kind of like a snake. And when you use products, or you have damage from hair dryers or curling irons or any number of things, the scales start standing up and your hair gets frizzy and it is tangly. Well, what vinegar does is it actually smooths down the scales of the hair shaft, so you're able to get a comb through it. And I have very thick hair. When I don't thin it out, it's and I've used a vinegar rinse for a long time. It also adds shine, and this is real shine as opposed to fake shine, because a lot of times shampoos or conditioners will use like little pieces of mica, which is a mineral, and they use it in makeup too. It's mineral makeup, and it adds like this sparkle to it, and it gets deposited on the hair to add shine. It's not your shine, it's mica shine, but this adds actual shine to your hair. So that's a possible alternative to a cream rinse, although you can definitely, if you've got hair that needs conditioning, one of the things I like to do every so often is to do a deep conditioning, and that's with like a hot oil pack. And I tend to infuse botanicals that are good for my particular hair into the oil, put it on there, put on a cap and let it sit, and you apply it warm, so that the warmth helps accelerate it infusing into the hair shaft. And then wash your hair afterwards. You let it sit for a good 30 minutes. And these are ways to condition your hair that don't have all of the weird chemicals in them, and aren't really doing weird things that we didn't think they did to get the desired effect. Yeah. What was the other one? Lotions. So lotion, like I said, is an emulsification between lipids and liquids, and you use an emulsifying ingredient. Well, the emulsifying ingredient I use for lotion is literally called emulsifying wax, and it is a vegetable-based wax that is non-toxic. It's not extracted with like heavy solvents or anything, and you can get that at different body care stores. They probably have it at Earth Elements, that's the one, in Grandview, Earth Elements. And they probably have it at Mountain Rose Herbs, which is, you can order online. You can order all kinds of herbs and essential oils and all kinds of great stuff there, body care ingredients through Mountain Rose. And the thing I love about them is everything is sustainable or fair trade. You can feel good about ordering from them because they source ethically. And that's mountainroseherbs.com. So lotion, when you take your fats and your wax and you melt it all together, and then you're going to add your liquid. And the amount of liquid that you add is going to determine how thick your lotion or cream is. If you add an equal amount to your lipids, you're going to get more of a cream. If you add more, you're going to get more of a lotion that you can put in a pump dispenser, or you can go even more and make it like a milk so that it really just completely dissolves into the skin almost without any residue. And I do that for like aftershave kind of treatments. I'll make a milk so that people's faces aren't greasy after they shave. So when I make my own, do I put the products in glass containers? Yes, I do. We use glass and metal and cellophane. Everything that Haven makes is in recyclable, sustainable, or compostable packaging. So like I make a lip balm for cold sores, that goes in a paperboard tube. I don't want to go out of my way to make healing products and then put it in a toxic vessel, you know? So yeah, we spend more to put it in non-toxic packaging. Plastic has just sort of become ubiquitous, not because it's necessary, but because it's cheaper for companies. And we've gotten away from far more sustainable packaging or infrastructure that allows us to reuse packaging to the detriment of the planet and to our own health. I mean, those are kind of the same things. We're experiencing all kinds of climate change and toxic waste, and that is because we make so much plastic. And it's plastic manufacturing, plastic use, and plastic disposal. It's all a problem. Like there's no good part of any of that process. Okay, so let's see. I use Dr. Bronner's. It does come in plastic too. Yes, it does. And the only way around that, if you're going to use Dr. Bronner's, is to buy the bar soaps. They are packaged in paper. Let's see. What essential oil is good for psoriasis condition? So that's a question that actually goes with a couple different assumptions. First off, psoriasis is an autoimmune disease, which means your immune and endocrine systems are out of balance and your body is attacking itself. I would not necessarily turn to essential oils as your first go-to. Am I saying that right? Yeah, because essential oils are highly concentrated corrosive substances, and you've already got skin problems. And if you're going to be applying it topically, you're going to want something a lot more gentle. The other thing to think about is, yes, psoriasis manifests on the outside of your body, but it requires not just a topical, but an internal to rebalance your immune and endocrine systems to stop your body from doing that. It's not like contact dermatitis where, you know, you're exposed to something, it gives you a rash, you can make the rash go away and limit the exposure again. It's a much more long-term project of balancing things internally, detoxifying your environment. Psoriasis, being an autoimmune disease, is one of those things that I tell people, like, let's go through your cleaning products, let's go through your cookware, let's go through your body care and get rid of all this stuff, which may actually in the long term get your body to stop attacking itself. And let's take some supplementation to work on that rebalancing. Let's see. So make your own lotion is out of emulsifying wax. And so the emulsifying wax is the thing that binds the two things together, the lipids and the liquids. So lipids could be olive oil or almond oil or shea butter or cocoa butter or coconut oil. All of those are lipids. And you melt those with emulsifying wax. And then blend the liquid. And again, how much liquid you do is your formula is. If it's going to be a heavy cream, it's going to be about equal. And if it's going to be more milky or lotiony, then you're going to add more liquid. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, so the slideshow and the handout that Darlene is only able to show a portion of is going to be emailed to you all. And you'll be able to refer back to it again and again. I'm sorry, I was cutting out. So lipids, oils, fats, butters, and the emulsifying wax melted together with liquids. So when I do lotion, I often, instead of just using water for a liquid, I will use hydrosols, which are flower waters like orange blossom or rose. And you can get those in a supermarket that sells products from the Middle East pretty cheaply. Okay. So yeah, so there are a ton of different ingredients in here that will give you some ideas. Different botanicals, different ingredients in your kitchen that you can start to make products. The ones that I would start with personally are deodorant, because most American deodorants contain parabens or aluminum if it's an antiperspirant. And you want to avoid antiperspirants and just use deodorants, because if you're blocking your body from eliminating toxins through sweat, you're going to end up with swollen lymph full of toxins that can't drain here. And this is very close to the breast. I would argue that deodorant or antiperspirant rather is one of the main culprits in breast cancer. When they have biopsied tumors, breast cancer tumors, they have found parabens. Also underwire bras, so they restrict the lymphatic flow and drainage. So wearing tank tops or bras without underwires, things that don't restrict flow, those are better for you than wearing underwires. Do we have any more questions about different kinds of formulas? Because it looks like we only have 15 minutes left in the show. I feel like I've been talking a lot, but I didn't realize it was that much. So the products that I would start with are deodorant, your hair care, because we tend to use that multiple times a week, if not every day, and your toothpaste. Because those are very frequent, if not daily products that we use, we're exposed to whatever's in them all the time. So I would look to swap out and research. Well, research first, see what you're using and how toxic it may be, and then come up with new alternatives. You can make hair masks just like you can make face masks. Avocado is really good for your hair. So is mayonnaise, so is honey. It's very sticky, but it totally adds an amazing amount of moisture and shine. Eggs can also be used for facial masks and hair masks. Green tea is fantastic as a face mask, especially if you have some rosacea. let's see, what else could we use? Oh, sugar and salt are wonderful exfoliants. If you have older skin that tends to be drier, I would use sugar over salt, just because it isn't as abrasive as salt. But you can add oils to those to make a really exfoliating body scrub. I tend to use those during the cold months when, it's just drier. I tend to use a body scrub rather than just soap. And I exfoliate all that dead skin off. And because the salt or sugar is infused with an oil, I use olive oil because, you can get good quality olive oil almost everywhere. And then I put a few drops of essential oil in it to make it smell nice. I do that and I exfoliate. And then when I rinse it off, some of the oil is sticking to my skin and then I don't have to moisturize. Before I was doing that kind of regime in the winter, I'd get out of the shower and I would immediately have to slather myself with lotion as like a second step. But this eliminates that. And I'm kind of lazy, so I like it. Let's see, what else? I'm looking here. But those are the 3 products that I would start with: shampoo, deodorant, and toothpaste. With toothpaste, toothpaste is a very modern invention, with a squeezy tube and stuff. Most people before like 1960 or so used tooth powder, and it's very easy to make, and it just is a minor adjustment in how it feels in your mouth, but it's actually much healthier. Baking soda is obviously something that comes to mind with being an abrasive. It also helps get rid of some stains. Activated charcoal, even though it's like black, it also is whitening. I tend to use coconut oil as a paste if I want to mix those things together, and I prefer paste. Sometimes kids prefer paste rather than adults. So I'll often make a toothpaste that has, a flavor to it for kids, with coconut oil as the base. And then I add abrasive powders and, any kind of botanicals that I want to use to refresh the mouth. Do you use the shampoo bars for body wash also? You absolutely can. The difference between bar soap and shampoo bars is just how many oils are in the soap. Now, obviously they're saponifying those oils. They're using lye to make it into soap. But the type of oils that they use are heavier and richer for a shampoo bar than just for a soap. You can use all kinds of oils for a soap. If you're doing a shampoo bar, you're going to want it to have some moisturizing effects. And so, yeah, you absolutely can use a shampoo bar as a soap. And I often do. I have a shampoo bar in the shower right now, and I'll just use it for both. Lost all sound, can't hear me speak. I don't think I'm muted.
Yeah, you're coming through okay for me, Lily.
Okay. Sorry, Anne. I hope you can hear me soon. But yeah, there are a whole list of things on the handout here to get your ideas kind of churning. And also you can look online for different body care recipes. The website that I mentioned, Mountain Rose Herbs, they have a blog with all kinds of fun recipes that you can make with different ingredients that they carry. And they're always just chock full of great information. Let's see, I mentioned a capsaicin patch. I don't make the patches because I don't have that technology, but I do make a capsaicin salve. And it works the same way. It just, because it's a salve and not an oil, it sticks in place. And if you're worried about it, with your clothes, you can put the salve on and then wrap it like in an ace bandage so that it doesn't have contact with your clothes. But with capsaicin, I mean, that comes from hot peppers. The hotter the pepper, the more capsaicin it contains. And you can extract that capsaicin in a solvent like oil. So if you take some habaneros or some Scotch bonnets or some jalapenos or any of those hot peppers, and you extract them in oil, either in one day by using heat, and you do like in a crock pot, extract it for several hours, making sure you're not burning the peppers, or you can extract it over time by leaving it for 4 weeks or so. You're going to get hot pepper oil. And then you can either use it that way, or you can add beeswax to it to solidify it into a salve. The general sort of ratio that I would use is 4 parts oil to 1 part beeswax. And that should give you a nice, it's firm enough to stay in place, but it's not so hard that you're like trying to dig it out and get it to melt before you can apply it. That's a pretty good medium hard salve. Hope that helps. Yes, you absolutely can buy products from Haven. On the handout that you're getting, it has the website on the bottom. You're welcome to do that. The website blog again. So that's mountainroseherbs.com. You can buy bulk herbs there, like bulk tea as well, and spices and salts and clays and essential oils. They have everything. And like I said, it's really sustainable, sustainably sourced stuff. So you don't have to worry about damaging the planet by, you know, plunder. But yeah, I would definitely, I'm going to write it here, mountainroseherbs.com. Boop. That way everybody can have it. So yeah, if you're willing to eat it, then you can probably use it on your body, is basically the lesson that we've learned here. And, you know, it used to be that recipe books from olden times had food, body care, and medicine in it. And those were passed down from generation to generation. It's only in recent times that we've expected companies to formulate for us, and we've lost a lot of that knowledge. And it's something that I think is making us sick. So being able to grow some plants and then turn it into food and medicine, I think is where I'm headed since I moved to the farm. And hopefully you all have availability to plant a few things in containers or in your yard and grow some food and medicine too.
Well, we have about 5 minutes left if anybody has any other questions for Lily. As she mentioned, she did share with me the PDF for her talk, as well as that handout she was referencing, and I will be emailing that to everybody. In addition, we are currently recording this, so if you'd like to go back and catch any of that wonderful, fabulous information Lily shared with us, that will be on our website or the Cancer Support Community Central Ohio's YouTube page. So we're very thankful that Lily has given us permission to record these presentations. So last minute questions.
I was so thorough. I can't believe there's no questions.
Well, you were very thorough, Lily, and this was a fabulous presentation and just so chock full of information and some great resources. So thank you so much, as always, for sharing your knowledge and your expertise with us. You do such a wonderful job, and we are very thankful that you are doing these presentations for us. So this will conclude our presentation.